On the 16th day of May in the year 2167, that was the day when the demons launched their final siege against the human stronghold. That was the day humanity fell amidst the flames. One of the last humans was in a hole made with his own body. Upon reaching a stone pillar, Sechan, the triple-level lightning assassin, gritted his teeth, sweat dripping from his forehead and the corners of his mouth. Red stained his body. 7 years ago, demon kings descended upon the world. The first of them was King Lan Yue. He led the forces of darkness, annihilating the human world by wielding an oppressive power. The being with red eyes possessed a powerful exoskeleton covering his body, horns growing through his forehead, and teeth as sharp as a shark's. His deep voice addressed the last of the humans. Do you dare to call yourself the last hope of humanity? Your entire race is nothing but worthless garbage. Lan Yue's arm was torn apart, opening up as it formed a mouth. His intention was clear, to absorb every drop of energy that remained in the essence of Sithin's life. With a glint of ferocity, Lan Yue delivered the final blow by extending his arm towards Sithin. Become my food! Transform into my strength! The life energy left Sithin's body. Sparks of light were drawn in by Lan Yue each second. Feeling the power leaving his body, Sithin recalled his little sister, his comrades, and his master. Everyone who was dear to him had been taken by the monsters. It was for these people that Sithin would fight. Amidst Sithin's helplessness, thunder began to rumble around his body. He squeezed out all his power, swearing that he would fall, but would take Lan Yue with him. Sithin unleashed a never-before-seen skill, his ultimate ability, the final light. The light surrounding Sithin transformed him into a great sun, illuminating all the darkness. Lan lost control of his body. He couldn't even move in the face of that power. If chains seemed to transcend, his black hair turned white like light, just like his empty eyes. Memories of the past seemed to shatter, the moment he lost his sister, as well as the moment his master left. Remembrances of his father and mother also surfaced, like shards of glass. Just like the acceptance of if chain, we will see each other soon. Unfortunately, I was not strong enough. The Titan was consumed by the very power he carried. Lan Yu, facing his end, wished, I wish I had been a little stronger. If I could go back in time, before the discovery of the Dungeon of Monsters, if I could prevent the first Dark King from appearing, then I wouldn't have to lose everything so soon. The sun's rays disappeared. The world became dark again, but only for a short time. Opening his eyes, a lamp on the ceiling came into view for C-Chain. Everything seemed peaceful, especially the soft bed he lay on. C-Jane sat up in bed and, looking at his own body, wondered if he was truly alive. He looked around, trying to understand where he was. Approaching the window, he saw people in the school fields and realized he was in the hospital. Doubts began to arise. Why is the world not destroyed? Where did all these people come from? It took some time for C-Chain to accept that this was real. He had returned to his university days, 10 years in the past. Seeing his young appearance once again, he widened his eyes in surprise. A sign of interference appeared beside C-Chain, and an image appeared. Power of gluttony, complete fusion with the cell phone. C-Chain checked the date and time. He had indeed gone back 10 years in the past, to the 16th of May, 2157. He knew exactly that it was still 3 years until the first Dark King would appear. 3 years from that day, in 2160. The first demon king, the Wrath, would appear. Tentacles that reached the sky would tear open the gates of the underworld. Thanks to the Wrath, the rest of the kings would begin to appear in the human world, one by one. This had been the beginning of the end, and what made Si-Chen lose everything. However, now that he had returned, Sithin started to believe that he only needed to defeat the first king to appear, the Wrath, and prevent the gates of the underworld from opening. This was his chance to change everything. Making a decision, Sithin began to analyze what he had. He wanted to know what the screen with the name Power of Gluttony was. It had been floating in front of him since the moment he opened his eyes. As he ran his hand over the screen, Sithin saw it change. It displayed his name and his stats, just like in a video game. Si-Chen had never seen anything like this before. In the past, he had always fought using his awakened powers in the world, with various attributes. Only 1 in 10,000 people could awaken. The school where Si-Chen was currently studying only admitted those with the potential to awaken, the National University for Awakened Powers. Unfortunately, in his past life, Sithin never awakened. While still in college for 4 years, he was at rock bottom, where everyone looked down on him. He realized that it must be why he woke up in the hospital. Suddenly, the holographic screen in front of Si-Chen changed. A card about the class. Lightning Assassin appeared. Sithin was surprised, as this was the title of his class in his past life. He could feel the power flowing into him. I inherited my powers from my past life. I awakened sooner. Deciding to test his powers, Sithin closed his eyes. Small lightning bolts began to appear around him. It was at that moment that the door to the room opened. A young man named Malong, a class floral charmer with a bandage on his cheek, was there looking for Sithin. Upon seeing the lightning around his friend, Malong became extremely excited. "Dude, you woke up. Are you okay?" Since Malong didn't care about the letter with the information about the lightning class, Sithin thought that no one else could see that screen besides him. Malong searched all over Sithin's body. All his wounds had disappeared the day before. He had been beaten to the point of unconsciousness. Malong couldn't believe he had recovered so quickly. Malong was Sechen's roommate. Even though he had awakened while in the academy, he was also at rock bottom in not Sithin's previous life. Malong had been brutally eliminated on the third day when the Dark Lords appeared. Yet now Malong was in front of him, as real as ever. It was only at that moment, seeing his former roommate, that Sechen finally felt he had returned. Malong suddenly remembered something. Tomorrow is the ranking test. Now that you're feeling better, we need to hurry and prepare. I know you just woke up, but this is super important. Thus, Malong took Sithin out of the hospital room. The Rhine day was already nearing its end, and the sun was setting behind the buildings, casting only a faint light on the basketball courts scattered across the campus. There, various students were using their abilities, whether training, running, or even playing soccer. Walking through the area, Sithin casually remarked, "It's been a long time since I've seen so many people alive." Next to him, Malong thought he had lost his mind. What is this guy talking about? Sithin sought to enjoy the moment. He had lost everything once and seen that scene become empty. He knew that if he did nothing, the same future would repeat itself. This gave him a strong determination. I need to come up with a plan urgently and rank up as fast as possible. In this era, there was only one way for someone who had awakened to rank up: defeat monsters in dungeons, but almost all dungeons were monopolized by larger guilds. Anyone who didn't join a guild. Basically, I wouldn't be able to rank up seeing your statistics all exactly at 100 points. Chain wondered how they compared to those of other awakened ones, as well as to the monsters. To advance through the different levels of power, the government established a ranking system for awakened ones and monsters. The ranking level ranged from Class S to Class E, and most students in the academy remained at rank E the entire time. Only a few talented students or those with connections to guilds would reach rank D. If Chain could roughly guess his rank based on his experience from his past life, he wondered what ranking he would receive in the assessment. He believed he would at least be ranked higher than Malong. It was at that moment that a basketball flew through the air, hitting Malong in the face. Malong fell to the ground, and in the stands, an arrogant student greeted them. "Hey, if it isn't Si-Cheng and Malong, looks like you guys are bouncing back quickly." Malong was startled to see they had run into that guy and his gang again. The arrogant student smiled, commenting to his partners, "See? I told you they could take a beating." With a superiority complex, he questioned, "You know I play basketball here, so why didn't you bring me a drink?" Malong, surprised by the demand, quickly stood up to apologize. "I'll buy them right now." Si-Chung, however, interrupted. "It's not your fault. They should be the ones apologizing." Si-Chung recognized the bastard in front of him. Gradually, old memories returned to his mind. Underwater, Si-Cheng's breath quickly escaped as he suffocated and swallowed water, pushed down the sink by the bastard. Malong, on the ground, pleaded for him to stop, but the loser made petty excuses. "Why should I stop? I'm helping him. He hasn't awakened yet, so why not give him a little push?" The bastard who was chasing Malong and Si-Cheng, together with his partners, he laughed as he attacked them. They went so far as to stop only when they became tired, as Sithin fainted slightly. The Sithin of that time wondered why they wouldn't leave them alone. Pure evil did not exist only in the demon realm. It also existed in the world of humans. Now, with the bastard troubling him and Malong once again, Seichong decided to confront him, protecting his roommate. The bastard who only attacked the weak thought he was deaf or had heard wrong. Malong shrank back as Gong Chang, the E-rank plant warrior, and his cronies stood up. Si-Chen faced the bastard named Gong Chang. The only reason he attacked the weak was because of his older brother, the strongest student, and also the student council president. In reality, Gong Chen's powers bordered on mediocre. People around began to gather upon seeing Gong Chen preparing to attack Si-Chen once more. Many laughed, treating Chi-Cheng and Malong like useless punching bags. Gong Cheng, with CC, green energy overflowing from his rock-augmented arms, stopped in front of Chi-Cheng with a look of disgust. He asked, "What did you just say?" Si-Chen replied, unafraid, "From now on, leave us alone." Gong Chen was furious. "It seems you want to learn another lesson." He raised his stone fist, sending it flying towards Sithin. In mid-flight, however, Sithin punched upwards, striking his elbow and disarming his attack. Gong Chen felt the pain in his joint and staggered back in huge steps. The The people around were shocked to see Si Chen block a punch from Gong Chen. They thought Si Chen had not yet awakened, and that their eyes were deceiving them. Gong Chen grit his teeth furiously. "A weakling like you, who hasn't even awakened yet, dares to challenge me?" Seeing that Gong Chen was really going to confront him, Si Chen raised his fist, preparing for the class change. In just a few seconds, he became the lightning killer. His class card provided a double advantage in strength and triple in speed, causing his points, which were all 100, to increase to 200 in strength and 300 in speed. Malong looked through the broken glasses, his jaw dropping in sheer surprise. "When you awakened on the other side," Gong Chen shouted furiously, causing stones and thorns to grow all over his body, focusing on his fists. "It seems you have forgotten the, taste of my punch." With the immortal stone armor wrapping around his fist, Gong Chen advanced once more. However, Sitheng was even faster than him. Although Sitheng's fist appeared smaller compared to the stone fist, the force also depended on speed. Sitheng's fist collided with Gong Cheng's face, smashing it like a sponge. Gong Cheng was sent flying, hitting the ground multiple times before coming to a halt. Everyone around was as shocked as Malong. "What is happening?" He sent Gong Chen flying with a punch. When Gong Chen hit the ground, everyone turned to look at Si Chen, incredulous at what he had managed to do. With his face mangled, Gong Chen forced himself to rise. He turned to his cronies. "What are you waiting for?" Yet, his friends were too scared to act. Before them, Si Chen had become a dark beast, staring at them in the shadows. Gong Chen did not give up, and jumped alone against Sitheng. Sitheng, however, seized his wrist and, with a strong grip, crushed it, causing Gong Chen to scream. With his other hand, Sitheng gathered large amounts of lightning. His dark voice, in contrast to the light, released a mockery. "You are so weak." Si Chen's fist collided with the bastard like a meteor. Wrapped in the lightning that struck him, Gong Chen flew away once again. This time, Gong Chen was sent even further, hitting one of the walls. Gong Chen's face bore the mark of a handprint. Frankly, he slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. Malong had fallen to his knees in shock, while Gong Chen's henchmen fled. Malong couldn't understand when you became so strong. Tichin looked at his own stats, coming to a few conclusions. First, he could switch to the Lightning Assassin class whenever he wanted, just like before. Second, even though the system stated that he was currently at level 1, as he expected, he was strong enough to handle lower-level Awakeners. This explained why he was stronger than rank A Awakeners like Gong Chen, but the exact rank of Si Chen was still a mystery. There was also another problem. He had clearly knocked out Gong Chen, and yet there had been no change in his level or stats. In Si Chen's hands, a blade of lightning appeared as he began to walk towards Gong Chen. Everyone was startled, thinking that Si Chen was going to finish him off. The lightning blade approached Gong Chen's neck, as Si Chen wanted to see if he could only gain experience in the same way as in his past life. Holding Gong Chen by his shirt, and with the lightning blade in the other hand, Tichin was ready to finish him when a woman's voice rang out behind him. "Hey, you know this is a school, right? Even though he started this mess, don't you think this is punishment enough?" The short-haired blonde woman, with an elegant stride, was Ling Yu, the vice president of the student council. She smiled slightly at Si Chen, indicating that he had achieved his goal. "He won't cause you two any more trouble." Tichin dropped Gong Cheng to the ground and wondered why the student council members were so eager to defend Gong Cheng. Si Chen wouldn't go further, but he knew that if he didn't truly intimidate guys like these, they would continue to bother him in the future. Gong Chen's partners were hiding behind a wall. Si Chen looked so intimidating that they swore. "I will never chase him again," yet they were still confused. Those two weren't the weakest losers in the whole school. Hearing the remark, Ling Yu smiled with curiosity. That night, in the boys' dormitory, Malong was making a fuss. "Why don't you believe me? If Chain really awakened, not only that, he's a super-powered lightning assassin." Malong was waving his arms, reminding his friends how Chain had defeated Gong Shang. Shanzu, a flame mage of rank E, scratched his ear, asking where Sithin was. Malong scratched his head, recalling that Sithin had said he was going for a run. That made Shanzu press him, while questioning, "If he's strong, why does he need to run? Since when do awakened people need to exercise? Does that make any sense to you?" On the other side, Shang Yue, a flower charmer and brother of Shang Zhu, commented, "It seems like Malong really got beaten badly this time." Chanzu continued to oppose Malong's words. "There's a reason we four were assigned to the same dormitory. It happened because we four had the worst test scores in the whole class. This is an irrefutable fact." Showing a bit of his weak flames, Shangzu continued to reprimand, "I was in 4th place from the bottom, which makes me the big shot of this dormitory. Each person can only awaken a single class throughout their life, and you two are just supporting characters. I am the only combat class in this dormitory, a flame mage. This is a cold, hard, and undeniable fact." Shanzu confidently showed off his arm muscles. There's no way pathetic losers like C-Chain can awaken as lightning assassins. As for me, I can feel my body getting stronger every day. I might even seek to join elite clubs. While playing on the computer, Shangyu reminded his brother, "Tomorrow will be the last ranking assessment before the graduation exams. Whatever happens, everything will be clarified." At the same time, a large flame formed the portal to a rank training dungeon, guarded by several guards. A man stepped out of the portal with Ling Yu following him, dressed in a white overcoat stained with drops of red. It was Gong Ting, the student council president. After exiting the portal, he announced to the guards that training would be suspended for the rest of the day. As he walked, something caught Gong Ting's attention. A person wrapped in bandages around their body, still waiting. Here, Gongchen furiously asked his brother for help. "If you don't do something, I won't be able to sleep tonight." He humiliated his brother in front of everyone. He clearly did not respect you. Gong Ting just nodded, warning, "I'll handle it." Sometime later, while eating rare meat and chatting with Ling Yu, Gong Ting revealed he did not plan to do anything. His brother had simply been outmatched by someone. Still, he was curious about something. "Is this guy really as strong as my brother says?" Ling Yu's response was straightforward. "You know the rankings and the skills of everyone in this school well. There are fewer than 10 level D students in the entire academy, and you have already recruited each of them for your club. Moreover, ordinary students do not have the same opportunities to enter monster dungeons as you do. These mediocre awakeners have no means to become stronger. No one will be able to keep up with them." On the other side, Si-chan was running in the rain, carrying weights in his backpack. He had already run 20 kilometers while carrying 100 kilograms. Basic training was the key to building a solid physical foundation. An awakener's potential was directly linked to their physical strength. Only a powerful body could handle the true limits of a class's power and unleash them. Still, Si-chan found himself far from his goal. In the year 2160, the Dark King, the Wrath, would emerge from a monster dungeon, growing over the world. And in an instant, he would eliminate countless humans. Whether it was Sitchin's family or even his little sister, all would perish at the hands of this being. Ira would be the one to open the gates of the underworld, allowing other kings to invade the human realm. Thus, Sitchin's first objective was to eliminate the being known as Ira. Ira was the catalyst for the end of the world. Sitchin had 3 years before his arrival. While Sitchin reflected on the other side, Ira was also growing, stronger, which is why he needed to grow even faster than this being. Suddenly, Sitchin's phone began to vibrate. As he took it out of his pocket, he saw the picture of a girl with black hair. If Sitchin answered the call using headphones, his sister complained from the other end. "Hey brother, why did you call me so many times today? I was in the competition and my phone battery died. I just returned to the dorm to charge it. Listen brother, if I win this competition, we can finally pay the overdue rent." Sitchin listened in silence to his sister's voice. In a ruined future, he had begged the heavens thousands of times to restart his life, even if it cost him everything, even if it led him to an endless abyss. His sister said Chen when she didn't hear him respond, only hearing the sound of the rain. She tried to get his attention. "Itchin," she heard and reassured him. "It's nothing. I just haven't heard your voice in a long time." On the other end, the comment left her confused, since they had spoken 2 days ago. She said she wanted to see him as soon as the competition ended and said goodbye. "Just wait for good news. Bye." Hearing his sister's voice over the afternoon rain, Sitchin understood that everything had truly begun again. Thus, he resumed running, for his goal was to become as strong as humanly possible to protect everything he held dear. When Sitchin returned to the dormitory, 8 hours had already passed. Since his arrival in this era, he was finally beginning to adjust to the ancient body. The physical state was still weak, but his body was very young. Now he needed to address the biggest problem. Sitting on the bed, he wondered how he would manage to enter a dungeon to level up. The guilds had a complete monopoly on them, and unless someone was part of the elite, there would be no chance of becoming stronger. Sithin wondered how he would be able to defeat some monsters. Moreover, he wanted to understand what the power of gluttony was. While he was thinking, Sithin fell asleep and missed a notification. System starting. The initialization was complete. The gluttony system was activated, and Sithin plunged into a new crimson world. Sithin woke up abruptly. Twisting his body, he managed to land safely. He was in a lake of red waters, and before him stood a staircase leading to a tower. Jane wondered where she was, as she was sure she had just fallen asleep. Gravity rounds suddenly began to emerge from the crimson lake. hunting dogs made of pure bone, warrior monsters of the Cloud attribute, rank E. Faced with the monsters, Sithin executed the class change. Seeing Tigers made him believe he was in a dungeon. Still unsure of what was happening, Sithin decided to first get rid of the problem in front of him. The skeletal-faced dogs charged toward him, but Sithin surged towards them even faster. The lightning he wielded was effective, eliminating the first target with a yai, blade of lightning. The Gravehound's fangs shattered, turning into collectible materials for Sithin. With his current strength, Sithin dealt with several rank E monsters, as if he were taking a stroll in the park. Everything felt so real to Sithin that this could not be just a dream. Eliminating countless dogs, Sithin leveled up for the first time. More important than the feeling of reality, it was the gaining of experience when a golden glow enveloped him. He reached level 2, gaining 5 points in all statistics. Seichen had simply found a dungeon where he could train alone. Amidst the surprise, the Gravehound King appeared behind him, a monster much larger than any he had faced in that place. It was against this king that Seichen would test his true abilities. A beam of light emerged, slicing through the Gravehound. The luminous cuts blinked one after another, hitting each limb of the dark dog. Seichen evolved once more, reaching level 3 and obtaining even more materials. Chefs provided significantly more experience than normal monsters of the same level. Thanks to the monsters of that world, he had already gained 2 levels in a short span of time. As he awaited more enemies, Seichen noticed something above the head of one of the defeated monsters, a small window with the available action, Devour. Seichen's eyes widened as he looked at the monster's body. In the red lake, he wondered what that sign meant. He extended his hand, feeling that it was connected to the power of gluttony. The monster's body disintegrated, turning into a crimson tornado, being sucked in by the power exuded from Seichen's hand. After draining all the energy, Seichen received the announcement of complete devouring. The devoured monster transformed into a monster card, containing its statistics and information. Delving deeper, Seichen wondered if, after defeating and devouring enemies, he could transform them into new classes. That was exactly what seemed to be happening. In that instant, Seichen recalled something as he remembered the action he had just performed. He thought of King Lan Yue, just as he had absorbed and devoured the dog. Lan Yue had tried to devour him. That was King Lan Yue's ability, the power of gluttony, originally belonging to the Dark King. Now it was in Seichen's hands. His heart raced as he realized this. The classes that people could awaken varied from strong to weak, but one rule never changed. Everyone was restricted to a single class. However, now, if Jane possessed 2 classes at the same time, each represented by a card, a thought crossed his mind. If I devour other monsters, I can have an infinite number of classes. Still, he wondered why he had gained this power, and what exactly was the magical tower behind him. As he turned his gaze back to the Titan Tower, he felt an overwhelming pressure that nearly made him stumble. A being carrying 2 massive swords appeared before him. Its dark voice greeted him. "You finally arrived. I have been waiting for a very, very long time." The lord with the secret name was covered in rags and bandages, wielding 2 swords as large as his own body. Seichen instinctively recoiled at the sight of that being. He remembered the ranking system established by the government, used for both awakened individuals and monsters. Based on combat power, the ranks from lowest to highest were D, C, B, A, and finally S. In his past life, Seichen had faced countless hardships just to try to reach rank S, but now he could barely be considered rank D. Before him, however, stood an S-rank boss. The level difference in that place was absurd. The being before him was on another level in all statistics. Facing the 2-sworded enemy, Seichen wondered what kind of dungeon this was. Why? There was an S-rank monster here, and why it seemed to know him. Soon, the 2 exchanged dozens of attacks. The monster had countless opportunities to eliminate Seichen, but it seemed to be toying with him. Each strike avoided vital points, merely knocking him down repeatedly. Seichen fell into the Crimson Lake, and as he struggled to rise, the dark being stared at him. "Are you still going to fight?" Sithin wiped the corner of his mouth. He knew that this being wanted to force him to submit by placing one of the swords on his shoulder. The enemy commented, "You should think carefully about the offer I'm going to make. You'll stay here and protect the Tower of Darkness by my side. There aren't many opportunities like this." Seichen stared at him and replied directly, "No matter what happens, there's no way I'm staying in this hole." As soon as he answered, a slash hit his shoulder. Seichen simply turned his face, seeing the red fountain spread. The being pointed the sword at him and asked, "Do you really think I won't eliminate you? The only reason I'm being patient is because you're the only one who has managed to reach this place." Still trying to compose himself, C-Chain saw the energy of the defeated monsters leave the fallen bodies. That energy gathered around the being of darkness, making him even more powerful. His strength and stamina increased dramatically. The ground beneath his feet rose up, lifting him into the air like a mountain below him, as he controlled countless giant rocks. So you decide, stay here or be crushed into oblivion. Lightning began to overflow from Scythen's body. In response, he exclaimed, I choose to end you. Using all the strength he had, Scythen leaped toward the enemy. On the other side, the being laughed, extending the sword to unleash a rain of stones. C-Chain used each stone as a springboard, jumping higher and higher until finally facing the being of darkness. After the last exchange of attacks, Scythen had figured out the patterns of his opponent. Before each strike, there was a sword swing that took about 4/10 of a second to execute. Scythen intended to use that window to observe the enemy's fist, predict the trajectory of the blade, and evade. The attack came exactly as expected, traveling in his direction. After dodging, C-Chain noticed a second moment of opportunity, a delay window of 2/10 after the attack. Used by the enemy to recover, this was the perfect moment to strike, when the opponent was completely defenseless. Sechen's electric blade overflowed with energy and pierced the enemy, who had never expected him to get so close. The critical blow, a pure condensation of energy, inflicted paralysis upon hitting a vital point. There was no way a rank D could defeat a rank S, but by concentrating everything into a single attack, Scythen hoped to gain at least a few seconds. The enemy had demonstrated such high speed that Scythen hadn't been able to distance himself from him yet. However now, with divine skill and speed, Scythen made a circular chain of energy flow through his body, increasing his movement speed tenfold. The few seconds gained were used to attempt an escape. During the fight, Sechen surveyed the surroundings. In the entire area, there was only a single point of light and he ran toward it. Just as he was about to touch it, it disappeared. The dark being reappeared behind Scythen, causing the crimson lake to spread with its fall. Scythen displayed a grim look of despair upon hearing the voice behind him. What misfortune! That was merely an afterimage I left. The exit you seek does not exist. This is not a monster dungeon. The being seemed intrigued that Sechen had discovered a flaw in his technique, so he could not contain himself. However, the cloak that concealed his form vanished, revealing the shadows that made up his body. The master of that realm revealed the reason for his interest. Even under the crushing weight of despair, you still managed to analyze the situation calmly and risk your own life for a slim chance of survival. You truly are the one who will bring hope. The Star Warrior. The demon Absol revealed his true appearance. Horns grew from his forehead, forming an arch, and chains hung from his neck over his chest plate. As energy tattoo marks covered his arms, still wielding the enormous swords, Sechen felt an overwhelming surprise as he recognized that form. He had seen it before. It belonged to the Dark King, Lan Yue. In Sechen's previous life, his final battle had been against Lan Yue. During the fight, Lan Yue kept changing between countless classes, even becoming ice dragons, fire monsters, plant-bodied creatures, and beings of light that dominated the skies. Scythen remembered that this was one of the Yao forms Lan Yue had assumed. Although weaker, the appearance was exactly the same. For Scythen, this meant that at some point, he had been devoured by the gluttonous power of Lan Yue, and now that power had fused with his body. This is how Seichan discovered where that place existed, within his own body. The being before him praised Scythen, not only for being incredible under pressure, but for possessing a sharp mind. You have proven that you are worthy of all this here. Amid Scythen's confusion, the monster showed a key of time, the key to the Tower of Darkness. Lan Yue devoured countless of us. The most powerful were sealed within that tower. Devour them and become stronger. Let them all become part of your strength. The key was handed to Seichan, who curiously asked why the being was helping him. The monster lord gave a lengthy answer. Even among demons, there are distinctions of morality. The demon kings massacred my entire clan out of their own greed. I have been waiting all this time for a chance to avenge them, and I am fortunate that this chance has finally arrived. That guy was right. You are the only hope, the only one who can succeed. And Chen, frowning, asked who he was talking about. The Lord merely revealed that he would discover the truth within the Tower of Darkness. Go and find out for yourself. The Lord's energy seemed to begin leaving his body. Slowly participating, he delivered a request to Scythen. Now, take my power and seek revenge against them. Amidst more doubts, Scythen shouted, from this moment on, you must become unstoppable. Open the gates of the Tower of Darkness, advance and devour everything that lies within. Each one inside the tower may not show the same mercy that I showed. They are the fiercest that exist, but you must endure every trial. You must conquer them all. You alone must reach the pinnacle of this world until, you finally devour each of the kings. The Lord's voice became weaker, and thus he relinquished his power. Only one such as you is worthy of holding my powers. The fragment of the Lord's energy floated towards Sethin's outstretched hand, which he gladly devoured. Sithin's level immediately rose to 10. Moreover, 2 lower thorn swords emerged, the same swords that the Lord Sithin had faced wielded. In light of all that had transpired, Sithin made a vow. I will carry your will with me, and make them pay. The devouring was complete, and a card from the Star Warrior was created, with 2 5 points possible for each statistic. It possessed an incredible 3 points in strength and 4 in resilience, along with unique abilities. Suddenly, Sithin heard voices around him. Let's go! Everyone get up! He opened his eyes and sat up in bed. Scythen's other roommates were in a rush to avoid being late, searching for their uniforms. Scythen looked at his own body, realizing there were no wounds. Everything seemed to have been just a dream, but the monster cards he had acquired still existed, and he was at level 10, having gained 10 levels in just one night, and now having all statistics at 150 points. He wondered what rank he would be. Suddenly, Shanzu approached. Hey, Scythen! Last night someone was boasting about how strong you've become. You're not trying to take my place as the strongest in the dorm, are you? Come on, the rank evaluation is about to start. Let's see how good you've gotten. Si-chan remained silent, only frowning at the provocation. As they left the dorm, Shangzu started eating a bread roll. Shangyu was fixing his hair and bangs. Malong and Si-chen followed behind, while Shangzu was the only one talking. It may seem like everyone in our dorm is in the rank, but don't. Forget that each rank is divided into 3 tiers. You are in the low tier of rank I, while I am in the medium tier. Shanzu boasted about the great distance between the medium tier and the low tier. I am dozens of times stronger than you, got it? I haven't been tested in 2 years. Who knows, my rank might have gone up again? Malong approached Si-chen, suggesting he go all out when his turn came. Try to achieve rank D. That will scare this guy out of his wits. Si-chen thought about rank D, but didn't seem to care about stopping at just that level. When they arrived at the campus, they saw that there were already hundreds of students waiting. Coming out of a bathroom, a guy with white hair pushed others aside. Shangzu was startled, as that was one of Gong Chen's lackeys. The white-haired guy and the other next to him glared at Shangzu and the others, who tensed up. However, upon seeing Si-chen behind them, the 2 lackeys of Gong Chen looked even more scared than the trio. Immediately, the duo bowed. Si-chen, sir, you came? Shanzu and the brother didn't understand why the duo was being so polite to Si-chen. Could it be that Malong was really telling the truth? He just ignored them, but soon someone got in his way. A tall man wearing a floral shirt named Kiandi approached. Hey, I heard someone faced Gong Chang yesterday. You know he's the younger brother of our great student council president, Gong Chang? Si-chen's roommates. Chain were startled to see the student council member. They stepped back, and Shangju wondered what that tall, D-rank president's dog wanted with Sithin. Andy leaned close to Sithin's ear and whispered, "Did you know I have an incredible sense of smell? I can detect powerful people, but all I smell on you is the stench of a loser who will never accomplish anything." In response to Kiandi's provocation, the protagonist replied softly, "Are you perhaps a dog that never expected to be confronted? Like this?" He widened his eyes. "What did you just say?" A person stepped forward, telling Kiandi to stop. Gong Chen himself warned him. "I have already investigated the matter and determined that Gong Chen was the culprit. It is only fair that he pays for the consequences of his actions." Upon hearing this, Kiandi quickly backed away from Sithin. Gong Chen stared at Sithin, who returned a look of little interest. On stage, next to a portal created by a machine, an old professor announced, "We will conduct the evaluation according to the students' identification numbers. Please come up to the stage in order when called." Gong Chen took King Ji away, while in his mind, he did not see Chain as a threat. From the top of a building, Ling Yu watched the students while sipping coffee. The man next to him asked, "What makes you want to come and observe the ranking evaluation? Is there something you want to investigate?" Ling Yu paid attention with curious eyes, filled with mystery. This evaluation could be quite interesting this time. An hour later, Zangetsu was called. Zangetsu reached towards the portal. "Let's see how strong I really am." Zangetsu stepped through the portal, arriving in a room where there was a magical core, an artificial heart connected to numerous devices. It was capable of absorbing energy. Zanzu raised his hands, conjuring a fireball. The attack struck the core, which kept its single eye closed through the cables attached to it. The energy handled was transmitted to external equipment. The cables connected to the portal transmitted this energy, linked to a large screen. On the big screen, the rank and the average tier were revealed as Shang Tsung's strength. However, the data continued to arrive. Malong was anxious for the main event. The potential, that was the highest rank expected that a person could achieve. Awakened with high potential could receive more attention from the guilds and the government. Shang Tsung's potential was displayed, potential rank C. As he exited through the portal, Shang Tsung sighed, upset that he hadn't managed to rank up in the last 2 years. As the next student was called, Malong tried to comfort Xiangzu. The truth was that both Xiangzu and Malong had also been evaluated, and everyone's potential had been rank C. Thus, Malong comforted his friend in the same boat as him. Don't worry, there aren't many D ranks in the school. There might not even be any new ones this year. As soon as Malong finished speaking, he and the others were shocked, as it was announced that a student had been evaluated as rank D. Sometime later, it was Kiandi's turn. He came out of the portal laughing, as he had been classified as rank D with potential rank A. Malong was crying, as they had already seen 8 rank Ds after their evaluation. The evaluators were equally surprised, even the students evaluated at rank D being in the low tier. It was incredible that they reached such a rank, without combat experience. Soon it was Gong Ting's turn to be evaluated. He ascended the stage under everyone's gaze. It was common knowledge that the president of the student council was the heir of the Imperial Guild. Rumors spread about Gong Ting having been evaluated as rank D 2 years ago, as the highest rank in the school's history. Among the students, he had been the medium D tier. Many wondered if Gong Ting would be able to surpass him inside the portal. The core slightly opened its eye when Gong Ting approached. He brought his hand closer to the device with a decision made, only revealing my full power during the graduation exam. I will make the greatest impact, so I will hold back for now, but I will still be the best student in the entire school. The big screen outside started receiving the data, and with Gong Ting's potential, a golden light emerged. Everyone was shocked to discover that he was in the high tier of rank D, but what frightened them even more was the potential rank S. Andy was the most excited. He is the strongest person in the school's history. That's my president. Long live President Shanzu. He clung to his brother, crying out of envy, while Malong was dazed to see history unfolding before his eyes. The evaluators gathered, murmuring among themselves that they should report the result directly to their superiors. Andy cleared a path for Gong Ting to pass, while everyone idolized him. From the building, where he was with Ling Yu, the man beside her praised the number of talents emerging, and An Long, the president of the National Awakened University, was curious. Did you already know that Gong Jin possessed potential rank S? No. That's why you came to watch? However, Ling Yu shook her head. I didn't know. I didn't come for him. And even with Gong Jin's result, I'm still more interested in his results. Thus, it was finally Si-chan's turn to be evaluated. As Si-chan walked toward the stage, Andy stepped in his way. Hey, loser! You better keep your dorm spotless when your results come out. That stuff better not be another low-level rank E. If it is, and you 4 end up as a dorm full of rank E failures, you'll be the biggest joke in the entire school. Ha ha! Andy was the typical dog that looked down on the weak. You're a bunch of losers who are going to humiliate yourselves in the graduation combat exam. Malong could no longer hold back and growled. Just wait and you'll see if Chen will make you swallow your words. Sithan stepped onto the stage through the portal. Shang Yu was curious to see if he would really be able to exceed expectations by crossing the portal and entering the dark room. Sithan walked towards the analysis core. The core seemed startled to see him. Sithan displayed vibrant red eyes as he extended his hand. At that moment, the best method for an awakened to secure a good future was to join a high-ranking guild. For most people, the chance to showcase their strength to such guilds was the graduation combat exam. The exam formed teams of 10 participants. Students were free to choose their teammates. The team that achieved first place would have all its members directly recruited by the most prestigious guild in the nation, the Imperial Guild. That's why the ranking assessment not only helped awakened individuals determine their rankings, but also served this purpose. Andy was already doing this work, gathering people to join his and Gong Qing's team, all of them ranked D. All 9 rookies promoted to rank D would be on our team as soon as we added your little brother, Gong Qing. Our team would certainly secure first place in the combat exam. In this kind of environment, the strongest team could be easily formed, just as the weakest team could. The stronger ones gathered while the weak were excluded and eventually eliminated. This was the natural law of survival. Malong adjusted his glasses, waiting for Sithan's result, which was taking quite a while. Across the campus, people laughed, thinking that Sithan was so weak that not even his rank would be recorded. Andy approached Gong Ting, urging him to leave. The rest of the students are a bunch of trash. You don't need to wait for them. Besides, our team is already complete. Let's go to karaoke. Gong Ting sighed, agreeing with him. Call the others from the team. We are leaving. At that moment, the City Hen ranking appeared on the screen. A loud, high-rank D tier was displayed on the big screen. Everyone turned to look at the screen, the eyes of Malong, the Chian brothers, and everyone else wide open. Malong was the first to scream, "Look, look, I told you, I knew it!" Andy turned hurriedly at the commotion. What? A high-rank D tier inside the portal? The Corps had assessed the city ranking and was sweating due to the pressure it felt. An announcement was made. The system detected an anomaly in the magic core. The evaluation result may be inaccurate. Please retake the test. Scythen had taken the test with his normal body and had not attempted to change classes. He then discovered that being at level 10 was equivalent to being at a high-tier rank. Scythen changed his class, choosing the Gravehound King class, obtained by defeating the Bone Dog in the dream. As soon as Scythen tested his weaker class, the evaluation on the screen changed. He evolved to medium rank C tier. Everyone was shocked when the rank rose once again. Surprise also appeared in Gong Ting's eyes, and beside him, Andy screamed in despair, "Rank C? This is madness! It must be faulty!" The evaluators were confused and wondered why the rank had changed, curious to know if there was an internal error. Soon, the system once again detected an anomaly in the magic core. The result was inaccurate, student. Please retake the test. The core seemed frightened as it faced Scythen. The protagonist had changed classes once more. Now he had chosen the Star Warrior class, which he obtained by defeating the Abyss Lord. The magic core was horrified at the sight of Scythen's transformation. Its eye widened almost to the full size of its physical body. Suddenly, dark clouds gathered in the school's sky. Thunder that bore no light ripped through the firmament. As darkness spread, a strong wind hit the students, as if an underworld had emerged in the skies. Malong was so scared that he clung to one of his brothers. Xiang joined his hands in prayer. A divine phenomenon. Today will be a day that goes down in history. I fear that our dormitory will produce a monster that will shake the earth. The assessment screen began to flicker, overwhelmed by interference. The potential rating of Sechin began to emerge. A golden letter appeared, and upon seeing the rank S, the evaluators were shocked. Kongting looked at the results speechless. At that moment, an alert was transmitted by the evaluation system. The golden color of the letter S began to darken, turning red. A new S appeared behind it, followed by a third. The system was about to go crazy. Warning! System error, potential rank cannot be determined. Exceeds the system's maximum capacity. Andy was so startled that his eyes nearly popped out of his face. The large screen revealing the assessment results shattered before such power. The evaluators rushed. The magic core is experiencing an overload. Quickly, we need to check it to ensure the student is not in danger. They rushed into the room, searching for Sechin. The young man was standing still, and before him, the magic core was completely dry, lifeless. The evaluators quickly tried to check the magic core, thinking it had been overused. Scythen turned to leave. He realized that he had pushed the magic core beyond its limits, but at least he had gained something in return. Before Scythen, a warning of complete devouring appeared. He obtained the delicate magic core of rank A, thanks to the power of greed. The portal glowed slightly as Scythen passed through it. Immediately, he activated the power of the delicate magic core, and holographic windows emerged. Above each student's head, revealing their rankings, something caught Qiqing's attention. Above Gongting's head, it was displayed that he was rank C, high tier. This meant he had hidden his true strength. As they left the portal, the evaluators announced, "We regret to inform everyone that the magic core appears to have suffered excessive stress and tragically has left us. Therefore, today's evaluation will be temporarily suspended. Qiqing's ranking evaluation data may have been corrupted. We will be reporting this to our superiors. For the other students who have not yet been evaluated, please return tomorrow. We will have a replacement facility ready by then." Malong and the other roommates did not care about what the evaluators said. They celebrated around Sechin. Zhang Yu's eyes sparkled as he massaged Sechin's shoulders and asked what he would like to eat. However, there was always a party pooper who was Andy, who rushed over to shout beside them, "I knew how a loser like you could become rank C, let alone have rank S potential. Obviously, the testing machine was faulty. And now that you ruined the magic core, you just want to leave? Do you have any sense of responsibility? Because of you, the rest of the students and the student council members will have to wait until tomorrow. How do you plan to compensate for our wasted time?" Lightning began to spark in Scythen's hand. The man before him was so irritating that he wondered if he should eliminate him once and for all. With a grim look, Gongting stopped. "That's enough, Andy. You shouldn't be rude to a teammate." Andy was startled and took a step to the side. Gongting walked over to Qiqing and extended his hand. "You should join my team. With that strength, we can participate together in the graduation combat exam. Together, we will definitely achieve the highest score in history." Inviting someone in person surprised everyone. Andy was desperate. As if they were to invite City Chain, they would need to kick someone out. He didn't know how he would explain himself. Being part of Gong Ting's team meant securing the first place in the graduation test. So many people had pleaded to join the team and failed. This made Andy question what was so special about Sithin. Gong Ting calling him personally was still something Andy couldn't accept. He extended his trembling hand with a sour expression, not wanting to be ridiculed in public, and forced himself to agree. "Welcome to the team," Sithin replied quickly, pulling his hand away from Andy and casually saying, "I'm not interested." Andy was shocked, while Gon Chin was surprised. And it was Andy who spoke up for both of them, shouting, "Dude, do you know what you're saying? This is the strongest team in the whole school." Sithin merely shot back a sharp look. "I don't care. You're too loud. Don't bother me again." Andy was seething with rage. Everyone around was stunned to see Si Chen reject Gong Ting. Whispers began to spread. "He rejected the student council president. He must be aiming for first place too, so the rank C he got can't be fake. Things are going to get interesting." Malong and the dorm buddies laughed amusedly at the expression on Kiandi's face. It was truly hilarious. Gon Chin, who had thought he could recruit anyone, was embarrassed in front of everyone. The little guy remained calm and reassured Andy. "This isn't a problem. Si Chen must have his own plans." And Long, the director of the University of Awakened, sighed. "What a shame they didn't form a team. I was looking forward to a new record being set this year." Ling Yu showed an expression opposite to his, a smile revealing his longing. "Doesn't this make things even more interesting?" Gong Ting was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Being rejected is basically a declaration of war. But our president is not someone who takes insults lightly. Next to Gong Ting, whom Andy kept complaining about, he wants to steal the spotlight just because of a system error. He really thinks he's a rank C. Gong Chin was against this notion, but what if the assessment isn't wrong? Even if the odds are 1 in a million, I absolutely won't let anyone take my first place. The idea of Chin being a rank C didn't sit well with King D. He's just an ordinary student with no real fighting experience, while we are elites who trained secretly in monster dungeons. "Why shouldn't I teach him a lesson for you?" Gonchin scoffed, questioning if Kiandi thought he was that kind of person, claiming he wasn't in the mood for karaoke. Gonchin told Kiandi to go without him. In the end, he warned, "Whatever you do, it has nothing to do with me." Kiandi heard the remark and understood the suggestion. A mischievous smile appeared on his lips. "Got it. This has nothing to do with you." About 10 minutes later, one of Gong Chen's lackeys reported, "Someone mentioned that Chen is not at school. I just heard he went home. He left without even eating." Crushing a soda can, Andy felt everything was falling into place. The heavens are on my side. Outside the field, while walking down the street, Seishan recalled his past life. Back then, one of the top guilds was attacking a monster dungeon on sacred ground when an incident occurred inside the dungeon. The guild encountered a monster more powerful than anything they had ever faced. That terrifying-looking monster was the Wrath. The guild was completely swept away by that being with giant tentacles. After that, Wrath emerged from the dungeon, descending upon the human world. That was all the information Seichan had at the moment in this life, to discover the exact location of the dungeon. Where there was anger, he had created a plan. However, to start, he needed money, and thus went to a large store, the Mitral Exchange House. The Mitral Guild would become the largest facilitator of resource exchange in the country in the future. The weapons and equipment that an awakened individual uses are crucial factors in determining their strength. The Monster Pouch was an important intermediary for buying and selling equipment. Upon entering the store, where he could make quick profit, City Chain encountered numerous stands filled with swords, axes, and shields. He placed several wolf fangs on the counter, which were examined by the man in the suit behind the counter. "Are you still a student? Where did you get these fangs?" The protagonist calmly replied, "A monster dropped them." The man had never heard of those fangs, but a young girl with pink hair approached, commenting with curiosity. "If I remember correctly, those are drops from the Cloud Attribute monster, rank E, called Gravehound. They are Gravehound fangs." As the young woman discussed the item, the seller simply threw it onto the table. All right, I see. This kind of thing is obtained from ranks and is not something our VIP system will buy." Adjusting his bow tie arrogantly, he continued, "Our clientele consists of influential and distinguished awakened individuals. I only deal with premium items of rank D or higher. That's why I didn't recognize this trash of rank E." The man, who hadn't received many high-level customers lately, was beginning to think he wouldn't be promoted. He cursed his own bad luck for only encountering kids like the one in front of him, carrying useless junk. Not wanting to deal with cheap items, he left, warning the young woman, "Miss Lee, I'll let you take care of this customer. Do a good job, I count on you." Miss Lee calculated the purchase value and handed a black envelope to City Chain. "Here's your money, sir. Please keep it safe. Is there anything else I can assist you with?" And Chain had received 18,000. Enough to cover the rent. It was then that he revealed he had something more. A glow lit up as a large sword materialized, the weapon he had obtained from the Lord of the Underworld. Seeing the heavy sword, Miss Lee was shocked. She had never seen that sword before, but she was certain it must be rank B or even rank A. The buyer who had given the work to her came back only to mock. "What are you talking about? A rank A weapon fetches 1,000,000 on the market. I've been in this business for years and have never found one." At that moment, a green-haired man entered the shop, agreeing with him. "You're right, that equipment definitely isn't rank A or B." Hearing the boss's words, the seller hurried to flatter him. "You certainly have sharp eyes, boss. I knew it. How could a broke student bring something so valuable?" The man in a suit approached the sword and made his assessment. "This sword clearly comes from the Abyssal Lands. It is a rank S piece of equipment." The seller was shocked, to the point of nearly going mad. Miss Lee brought her hand to her mouth, hiding her astonishment. The store owner grabbed Sithin's hands. "It's an honor to have your preference, sir." He quickly guided Sithin to a VIP corridor, while Miss Lee hurriedly carried the sword behind them. Sithin smiled slightly upon seeing that person finally appear, King G, the leader of the Mithril Guild. Miss Lee served tea to Sithin in a room with elegant sofas. They placed the sword on a smaller table than the weapon itself. King G got straight to the point. "Sir, may I ask how much you want for this piece of equipment?" Titane was even more direct. 1,000,000. King G said, surprised by such a low price. "You really want to ask for only 1,000,000? The leader of the Mithril Guild and store owner tried to explain to Titane that even a rank A piece of equipment could be sold for millions. Enzi stated that a rank S weapon, you could reach at least tens of millions in the market if Chen, however, had other ideas. "I want to use this S-rank weapon as collateral to get a loan of 1,000,000. I will pay it back in a month." Kingzia's eyes widened in surprise. He never imagined that a college student would think of taking a loan using such a high-rank weapon as collateral. Jeans understood that the young man had no intention of selling the sword. This made him curious to know if he would sell it later. If Chen seemed wiser than someone his age, having a treasure like that in his possession made King wonder if he was some rich kid from a noble house or a prodigy hiding his abilities. While King generated countless theories, Sithin simply sipped his tea calmly. Sithin tried to negotiate the loan agreement. "I will pay the principal back immediately in 1 month, and I will pay 10% interest the following month. What do you think?" Before negotiating, King G asked Little Ali to leave the room. He began the negotiation by commenting on what he knew about Seichan. "If I'm not mistaken, the school you study at is the National University of Awakened, and you gentlemen are about to graduate." Crossing his legs, King G continued his analysis. "As far as I know, the National University of Awakened has an annual graduation exam. This year's exam will take place in exactly 1 month, and the cash prize for first place is exactly 1,000,000, which coincides perfectly with the amount and the repayment date of the loan you proposed." Kings then placed his bet. "If I had to guess, you must be confident that you will come in first place in the exam, right?" Sithin remained silent, listening as Tingji continued. Tingji stood up, claiming to believe that Sithin didn't want to wait a month to receive the cash prize, and that was why he was there urgently trying to offer a rare item as collateral for a loan. This indicated that he was desperate for money. You wouldn't want to take that risk. This risk, if I didn't have an ace up my sleeve, right? Completing his analysis, Kings came to a conclusion. In this case, I can lend you 1.5 million in cash right now, interest-free, for 1 month. King G reached out to Sithin. "Consider this the beginning of a friendship between us." Sithin was surprised and curious about King G. King G winked playfully, showing a smile. "Don't worry, I will keep our entire conversation today confidential. Remember, if you want to make any sales or trades in the future, consider our exchange house as your first option. I'm sure we will ensure you the best deal. What do you think?" With just a few details, he was able to infer Sechan's situation and needs. Impressive, and instead of taking advantage of the dilemma as soon as he understood it, he still offered better terms for the sake of a long-term partnership. No wonder King G would be able to turn the Mithril Exchange House into the leading exchange house in the world in the future. Sechan smiled slightly and reached out to shake King G's hand, sealing the deal. To eradicate his rage, he couldn't rely solely on his own strength. Thus, he needed to start forming trustworthy allies. Shortly after, the two placed their hands over a contract, sealed with a magical circle, showing the complete agreement. King G smiled, notifying that the funds would be transferred to City's account soon. It took no more than a few seconds for City to see the money in his account. Changing the Subject, Kingji asked curiously. Since you're going to use such a good weapon as collateral, what do you plan to use for your graduation exam? Do you want me to lend you some equipment? We currently don't have any equipment of that rank, but I have some rare items of rank B or A. Sithin reassured him that it wouldn't be necessary. With a wave of his hand, Sithin conjured a second sword, similar to the one he had given to Miss Lee, and the arrogant vendor was shocked to see the second sword. Li and Si-chan said goodbye to Si-um. Ching-Ching set her fingers, asking Shaolin to continue helping the important client, and announced, "You will be promoted to supervisor immediately." Before leaving, Si-chan remembered something. "I need to buy something." Sometime later, getting out of a taxi, Si-chan arrived at the long-distance bus terminal in Kangchang County. The wind blew as Sithin recalled his past life. Back then, his family was going through financial troubles. Even after graduating, he still hadn't secured a proper job, and as a result, no guild had accepted him. Sithin struggled with ordinary jobs and barely managed to pay the rent each month. He and his sister lived a very simple life, just to get by. Si-um had become so worried about adding more financial burdens to the family that she ended up giving up on her dream school, the Art Institute. With the phone in hand, Si-chan looked around as it was getting late and Si-um's bus should have arrived. Suddenly, he heard a girl's voice complaining, "Brother, how many times have I told you that if you are going to pick me up, you need to go to the exit, not the entrance?" The voice belonged to a girl with 2 braids, wearing a school uniform and carrying a backpack on her back while pulling a large suitcase. Her red eyes reminded him of Sechin. The protagonist's eyes widened upon seeing Si-um after 7 long years. Pulling the suitcase, Si-um asked her brother for help, but Si-chan seemed not to hear. She waved her hand in front of his face. "Why are you just standing there like a scarecrow?" Before Si-um could realize, Si-chan had already wrapped him in a tight hug, filled with longing. She was surprised, but after 7 years, that was the most spontaneous gesture Si-chan could show. The hug was so tight that Si-um needed to tickle below his arms. "Are you trying to crush me?" Si-um threw the backpack for him to carry while complaining, "Have you been acting really weird these past few days? Did some girl reject you or something?" As Sithin put her bag on her back, Si-um dragged him along, beginning to talk excitedly about school. Sithin watched her brother's smile, swearing internally, "This time I won't let you suffer again." Not far from there, in an alley, several people were gathering. Their leader, Tien Di, knew that this was the path Si-tien usually took to go. Home. Darkly, he ordered his companions to hide their faces. "Hide, and the moment he appears, we'll jump him. I'll make him learn what happens to those who mess with me." In the alley, one of the people questioned, "By the way, boss, since many of us are from the student council, what if things go too far?" Biting his cigarette, Andy scoffed, "I'm just going to teach him a little lesson. That guy's attitude irritates me. That piece of trash rank. He thinks he's really rank C. Now that trash has no idea who he's messing with." The moment Si-chain said he was noisy was still fresh in Kiandi's mind. With great irritation, he ordered, "When the time comes, you better leave a piece of him for me because I'm the one who will destroy him. He won't be able to participate in graduation in 2 weeks. He pulled out a dagger that gleamed with his cloud element's killing power. "I'm the best in the whole school. Just wait. I'll leave you in pieces." Si-um was walking alongside Si-chan, drinking a milkshake. She commented, "Big brother, you've been acting strange lately. Are you stressed about the graduation exam?" Si-um didn't want her brother to be carried away by emotions and tried to cheer him up. "No matter what happens, you need to cheer up. Aren't you the one who always told me that? Life is a long journey, and the chance will come sooner or later." Sithin entered the alley with Si-um, who was humming while jumping. Sithin believed that from his sister's perspective, she had noticed something different about him the moment they met. She still didn't know that he had awakened. Therefore, she must believe that he was still worried about money. Jane swore to her sister that she was fine, but Si-um didn't believe it. He was trying to deny it because of male pride. Si-um had heard that men build barriers to hide their feelings as they start to age. She had read this in a book and thought her brother was going through that phase. As they ventured deeper into the alley, one of Kiandi's thugs warned, "Boss, there's a little girl with that guy behind the cloth that covered part of his face." Kiandi smiled. "This is even better. This alley has no cameras. It's our lucky day." Titan suddenly felt a stench. It belonged to the student council guys. Looking back, he saw countless shadows who had truly dared to go against him. One took wireless earbuds and placed them in his sister's ears. "Uni, I've been listening to a song lately. Here, listen." Si was confused because she didn't know her brother liked music. Still, she let him put the earbuds in her ears to listen to the song that should convey her brother's mental state. As Seum listened to the music to try to understand her brother better, Sichena stopped walking alone and turned against the student council, which Andy was leading. Who could see that he was ranked D while the thugs were ranked E? As the music continued to play in Seum's ears, she didn't hear a dozen students rushing towards her brother. The year 2160, the past life of City Chain, was when he lost his last family member. It wasn't until 2167 that he was reborn and could return to finally see his little sister again. Fury consumed Si-chen, for this was the first time in 7 years he was able to reunite with his family, and now a bunch of bastards dared to ruin his perfect moment. Like a true lightning bolt, Si-chan appeared before the first of his attackers, spinning around with a high kick that struck him squarely. The first villain flew away, scaring the others, while one continued with his eyes closed, enjoying the music. As his brother clenched his fist filled with electricity, the second villain aimed at by Si-chan was startled, but couldn't dodge in time. With each step Si-chan took forward, he struck one of Kyandi's henchmen with a punch. He advanced in the blink of an eye, quickly reaching the rear, taking the time to prepare. One of the student council members readied a punch to throw at Si-chan, but the protagonist grabbed him by the wrist and, twisting his body, hit him at the elbow, bending the arm at an angle it shouldn't have. The sound of breaking glass could be heard, muffled by flesh, before he could scream. Si-chan continued the attack, silencing him with a punch that knocked him down. Sathan kicked another one away, causing him to collide with another. Andy was startled to see how Sithan fought. "What is this? What's wrong with this guy? How can he be so strong?" Sithan advanced again after dispatching several in front of him, but a few blocked his path. However, with simple yet heavy energy punches, Si-chan shoved them aside. Soon, his final target stood before him. Titan clenched his fist with all his might, preparing a blow against Kyandi, which contained 7 years of nostalgia, transformed into fury. Kyandi managed to recover and shouted, "I am the strongest of the cloud type, you bastard. Do you think you can defeat me?" Before Kyandi could continue speaking, Si-chan's punch hit him, making his face spin. Kyandi bounced once on the ground, his body bending at impossible angles. Titan continued to chase him in the air, and another punch hit him, this time from below, striking him on the chin. Kyandi wouldn't need to go to the dentist anymore, as his teeth were naturally knocked out. After falling numerous times to the ground due to the force of the blow he received, Andy found a wall as his final point. He opened his eyes, still dizzy, and before him appeared a shadow with deeply crimson eyes. Si-chen looked at the guy upside down with his torn pants, and he remembered, "I clearly told you that you should never bother me again. Which part of that didn't you understand?" It was when he felt his own legs that Kendi realized the results of the Sithan test. They were definitely not just rank D. He tried to apologize, but Sithan grabbed him by the tie, telling him to shut up. Piercing eyes warned him, "If you dare to make even one more sound, I will deal with you." Kendi felt that Sithan's eyes didn't lie. He would really do what he said, even though he was just a student. The threatening aura of Sithan was extremely heavy, like that of someone who had been through a lot. That Sithan ordered Kendi to remember every word. "I don't care what scum like you do, just don't mess with me again. If you dare to threaten my sister's safety, even if you just appear in her line of sight one by one, I will make you disappear without hesitation. Understood?" Tears streamed down Kyandi's face over the dagger Sithan held. Having done what he needed to do, the protagonist let it go. At that moment, the music playing was about to end. She didn't know why, but the lyrics, sung along with the melody, made her cry. Even having not seen her brother for just a few days, the fact that he liked such music made her realize how much he had been through. Sum silently vowed, "You are not alone. I will always be with you," trying to hide her support for her brother. Seum turned, scolding her brother, "You're so annoying playing that song." But when she turned, she came across a small box that Sithan was holding. Inside was a small gift that her brother wanted to give her, a golden pen. Sum recognized that it was not an ordinary pen. This is a holographic mana drawing pen. It's the latest model from the Dragon Group. That pen cost more than 10,000. Sum didn't understand where her brother had gotten so much money after failing to protect her life and dreams. In his past life, Se-chain promised, "In this life, I will protect everything related to you." Thus, Se-chain had already done so, eliminating and hiding the first threat that could arise when they returned home. And Se-un used the new pen. Beautiful three-dimensional holographic fish were drawn, eating the ramen with egg that her sister made. Si-chan watched her, happy that she liked the gift. Looking at the pen, Si-yun displayed sadness and concern. "Brother, we still need to pay the rent. Spending money like this is irresponsible." Surprising her, Si Chen revealed he had already paid the rent for the entire year. He scratched his nose, trying to find an excuse. I ended up starting a small business with a friend and made some money. Si-eun's older brother was extremely bad at lying. It was very suspicious. Despite Si Chen hiding secrets, seeing him smile, something she hadn't seen in a long time, relieved the weight in her heart. Se-eun lightly touched her brother's shoulder and pleaded, "No matter what happens, don't push yourself too hard." With a light smile, he promised while watching an aquarium. The student council president commented to someone, "This time, Deondi is seriously hurt. More than half of his body is broken. Even with the best healer, he won't be able to recover within a month." Going Thing never expected that, when looking for Se-chain, Andy would return in this state. The woman listening to him seemed worried, as she believed Andy would miss the mission to graduate. Going Thing, on the other hand, didn't care. "My team will just be losing a burden with poor skills." A tall man wearing glasses and with a small low ponytail approached Going Thing. That was Gong Xuan, director of the National Awakening University Employment Office. With a contemplative look, he commented again on City Chain, watching the aquarium with his son. He revealed that he had confirmed the result of the last test was correct. If Chung was really at rank C, he was the only one in the whole school with a higher rank than Gong Ting. Upon hearing this, Uncle Gong Ting went on alert. The principal warned that, this time, his father had invited the vice president of the alliance to attend his graduation presentation. "We can't let anyone steal his triumphs." Feeling that it would be difficult, he looked at the woman sitting nearby and asked, "My niece, I ask you to fill the spot on Gong Ting's team." Gong Ting interrupted him. "You worry too much about confidence." He questioned whether his uncle really thought he had demonstrated his true strength during the test. He reassured him, "On the day of the battles, I will let everyone see who is truly the strongest." That night, in the dormitory, City was taking a shower after his 100-kilometer running training. The money problem had been resolved and everything was going well. He might be able to execute his plan after graduation. The next mission was to win the 1 million prize and pay off the loan he had taken from King Ji. The contract had to be honored. After all, there were many things he could ask King Ji for in the future. Less than a month was left until the event. Lying on the bed, City thought about leveling up a bit more. As soon as he fell asleep, the gluttony system was activated. Si Chung returned to the red lake in front of the tower. As he climbed the stairs, he encountered an immense door. In the last test, the weakest class he had obtained, Infernal Knight, had reached rank C, but the most powerful class, Purgatory Hakshasa, failed to be assessed. Although the Hakshasa class was ranked, this Seichung was unable to use his full power. It was still unknown how much power he could unleash. Thus, the ranking of the last two classes was still unknown, along with the key to open the tower gate. Seichen planned to test them. This time, the gates were opened, and a large portal appeared, wondering what the setting inside the tower would be like. Seichen stepped forward, and as he passed through the portal, the protagonist's eyes widened. Seichen entered a white world, floating in the space between shining galaxies. The difference in gravitational pressure of the place pulled him down, almost making him fall. The gravity in the fallen star desert was 10 times stronger than that of Earth. The door he passed through disappeared. It seemed necessary to defeat the boss of this place in order to return to his current state. City Chain could release at most about 30% of his strength. He needed to adapt to the place quickly. Light footsteps approached Sithin. A ghost lion, a star-class warrior, appeared. The tiger's fur was dark, yet bright like the stars, as if it were formed by the cosmos of the universe. With no time to adapt, City Chain hastily used the class change, becoming a lightning assassin. His strength doubled and his speed increased threefold. The cosmic tiger jumped toward Sithin, who managed to duck, avoiding the sharp claws. Holding onto a lightning bolt, he counterattacked with his heavy body. It was crucial to win the battle as quickly as possible, to avoid remaining at a disadvantage. The attack hit the ghost lion, but failed to strike vital points. The paralysis effect missed. Scythen was surprised to miss everything, thanks to the change in gravity affecting the accuracy of his attacks. The tiger turned against him, with a heavy front paw throwing him to the ground. Even with his increased speed, this caused him to lose the advantage brought about by the atmosphere. The tiger was still moving too quickly. This was the force of the monsters within the magic tower of Purgatory. The tiger attacked once more, sinking its fangs into Sithin's arm. However, at that moment, he had changed class, becoming the Purgatory of Rakshasa. His power shifted focus. Now Sithin's strength was multiplied by 3, and his stamina and defense were quadrupled, with a different advantage focused on close combat. The pressure exerted by the beast's jaw caused him no harm. With the beast so close to him, the protagonist was able to throw it to the ground with increased gravity. The impact against the ground was also extraordinarily stronger. This chain prepared a punch, increasing its strength by 200, 400, 600%. More powerful with the gravity bonus, the power of the punch had been amplified 60 times. Roaring mightily, he attacked the ghost lion, which felt fear like a little puppy in front of a true beast. The punch unleashed an explosion of air, and the impact destroyed everything around like a comet. Minutes passed, and Seichin found himself panting, lying on the ground, in the midst of the crater created. He lay beside the body of the beast, obtaining a ghost lion's bone. Sithin also gained enough experience to level up. Seithan discovered that each star on the class cards represented a multiplier. The more stars, the higher the strength of that class became. The Rakshasa class had a total of 11 stars, while the Lightning class had only 9. Despite that, using both cards, Seichin felt extremely pressured, facing only a rank B monster, the rank of both cards. This demonstrated that both were also at that level. As he prepared to leave, Sithin looked at the body of the lion, feeling that something was strange. This time the system hadn't shown him the option to devour, just as the gate to the next floor hadn't appeared. If Jane realized the true lord of that floor, he might not have appeared yet. Suddenly, like a black hole, a small portal emerged behind him. Eyes appeared from the vastness of that darkness of the portal, and numbers of lions, the same ones they had spent everything to defeat, leaped towards him, revealing the reality. What he thought was the boss of that floor was just small monsters catching him off guard. The first lion that hit him bit into his shoulder. Others attacked from behind or aimed for his Achilles heel. Only at that moment did Sishen understand the true meaning of Hakshasha's purgatory words. As soon as the doors open, what will welcome you will be an endless pain. But you need to endure. You need to conquer everything. This chain seemed helpless against the wolf's attack. A wide-open mouth appeared right before his face, completely stained with red. At that instant, Sithin jumped out of bed. He gasped, exhausted, completely drenched in sweat, muscles injured, skin torn. The pain Sithin felt in his dream seemed incomparably real. However, to become stronger, there were no shortcuts. That lonely and painful road of purgatory had just begun. On Friday, in the auditorium of the Great Awakened University, various students gathered. There would be the ceremony for the formation of teams for the graduation combat. The principal was sipping tea, preparing for a speech, accompanied by several professors. At his table in one of the rows, a gossip spread among the students. Have you heard? They say that for this graduation combat assessment, the superiors of the Guild Alliance will come to watch live. No wonder the rules for this year's assessment. They might have changed if Shane was watching them comment on how in previous years there was no minimum size or ranking requirement, but this time each team needed to have at least 5 members, with at least one of them being ranked and or above. Interrupting the students' conversation, the director cleared his throat and started the meeting. The ranking information of all the students in this class had already been sent to everyone's wristbands. Please check your wristbands and complete your team formation as soon as possible. With a digital wristband on their arms, the students opened holograms that showed them the information. When they saw the ranking list, they found Gongting, rank D and high tier, in first place. Surprised, Malong believed something was wrong. Scythen was listed as rank E and low tier, last in the ranking. He and his roommates were astonished. Scythen frowned. Everyone began to look at Scythen, remembering that the test had shown he was rank C. Mockingly, some spoke in a taunting voice. So the test really failed, and we here thinking he would dare to challenge President Gongting. Now no one will want to join him. Chain remained silent as he listened to the mockery. This event is important. Who is going to want to carry a useless Gongting in the front ranks? He frowned and looked at his uncle in silence. Gong Xuan smiled inwardly. He was disappointed with his nephew. When will he learn to truly utilize power in human nature? Let Uncle Liao teach him a lesson. His opponents won't even be qualified to compete. The students were ordered to form teams and everyone rushed to Gongting, asking him to choose them. A crowd was gathering, some jumping over each other, trying to present their qualifications. A companion of Gongting stepped in, pushing the others away. Leave the noise behind. We can only add one more person to the team, at most half an hour later. Several teams had already been formed. In one corner, Si Chen and his 3 roommates were isolated. Malong sighed wearily. They had already asked around several times, but no one wanted to join them. With 4 people so far, they would be unable to participate in the graduation mission. Malong gritted his teeth. This is so strange. How could Si Chen's performance test be the lowest, with the requirement that they needed at least 5 people, one of them in the high tier of the rank? He felt like they were trying to sabotage their dormitory. The The graduation combat assessment was the only chance for everyone to prove their worth. Only by achieving a high score with their team could someone have good job prospects. In the final assessment, the number of monsters in the evil cave would be determined by the number of team members. Wasn't it true that the more people you had, the easier it would be to get a high score? So even though they couldn't join a strong team like Gong Ting's, no one was willing to team up with low-ranked individuals. The 3 lowest-tier rankings were in Si Chen's dormitory. If this continued, they wouldn't be able to participate. Suddenly, someone approached Zhang Zhu, inviting him to join their team. "We need one more person. Surely you don't want to go with those losers from your dormitory, do you?" If Zhang saw an angle where they could be abandoned by everyone. He, Malong, and Shang Yo were ranked as low tier, while Shang Zhu was middle tier. Against all expectations, Shang Zhu refused. "Sorry, our dormitory agreed that we would go together. I'm not abandoning my teammates." Irritatedly sticking out his tongue, those who had invited him mocked his decision. Looking at the student roster, it was evident that almost everyone had already formed teams. Malong was in despair, as there were hardly any rankings and high scorers left. Si Chen glanced towards the office director, Gong Xuan. His last name was the same as Gong Ting's, which meant they were from the same family. Such sudden changes in rules, along with the modification of his ranking to prevent him from forming a team, made Si Chen suspect that the office director viewed him as a threat to Gong Qing. People in power did whatever they wanted, but the protagonist was determined to participate in this event. Since they were targeting him so blatantly, Si Chen decided to no longer be polite. He made the class change, and bolts of lightning surrounded him. The teachers, seeing someone unleash a skill inside the auditorium, were alarmed. Surprised, Malong shouted, "What are you doing, man?" The Awakener University has a special tradition to help students master their classes and battle skills. They were allowed to initiate one-on-one challenges at any time. Although it was a selfish move, Si Chen wanted to show everyone his true capabilities. His target for a challenge was none other than Gong Qin, who could already sense Si Chen approaching. The protagonist had a singular intention: to defeat him. Thus, inevitably, people would notice his strength and want to join his team. Just as Si Chen was about to reach Gong Ting, he heard a woman's voice calling him. "Si Chen, is your team still looking for more members? I'd also like to participate in this year's graduation examination." Opening the door to the auditorium and offering to join Si Chen's team was Link Yu. "I reached rank D, so I wouldn't hold your team back if I joined it," said Si Chen's dormitory mates. They wanted to know when Si Chen met Ling Yu. One of Gong Chen's companions was startled, and even Gong Xuan shouted, "What did my niece just say?" Ling Yu walked towards Si Chen while everyone in the room whispered about her. Ling Yu was the vice president of the student council and a transfer student. The support behind her was mysterious and unknown, but it was said that she was a genius from Shenhe. Gong Xuan, not understanding why the girl was allying with strangers, warned through the microphone, "Miss Ling Yu, as an exchange student, you are not qualified to participate in our school's graduation exam. Furthermore, you have not taken a placement assessment since transferring to this school, and I have not seen any test report proving your current ranking. It would be completely against the rules if we allowed you to take this exam." Suddenly, a tall man in a suit teleported next to Malong, startling him. This was the principal, who agreed with Gong Xuan. Upon seeing the principal's presence, the department head was taken aback. The principal walked over to Ling Yu's side, reminding her, "You are here only for a short-term experience at our school. Why are you getting involved in this situation?" Si Chen was surprised, as he thought the principal was from a soldier class. His teleportation abilities were astonishing. The principal tried to convince the young woman to give up. "It would not be fair if you participated. Graduation. Exams mean something only if students demonstrate their true abilities. Don't you agree?" With a sad look, Ling Yu pretended to feel a great pity. Si Chen tried to use his ability to analyze the skills of Ling Yu and the principal, but they appeared as blurs in his vision. Gong Xuan seized the opportunity. "The principal is absolutely right. Our school's prestige comes precisely from our adherence to the rules." Standing tall, the director reminded us of our mission at the National University of Awakeners, to cultivate the best awakeners and present them on the finest stage so they can showcase their talents, ensuring a constant and steady supply of talented awakeners to the world. The director faced the committee head, recalling that the graduation battle exam had been a decades-old tradition and one of the most crucial starting points in students' lives. If our students miss this opportunity due to specific circumstances, how could our school maintain that reputation? With a threatening look behind furrowed brows, the director's voice internally pressured the committee leader. Gong Xuan felt those words were directed at him, as if the director had realized he had modified the rules for his benefit. The director had never involved himself with smaller issues before, and now his collaboration with Ling Yu could only be related to the young Sicheng. Gong Xuan scoffed internally, reminding himself that there was no need to engage with old fools. He was confident in Gong Ting. All of the top students were on his team, while Sechen was with the three worst, but that would be an easy victory. With this in mind, Gong Xuan promptly bowed to the director. You are absolutely right. This was an oversight from the Career Services Department. We did not foresee how the current team formation model could leave some students without a team. He addressed the students, announcing, I hereby declare that teams with fewer than 5 members or teams that do not have a member above rank and in the high tier can also form their teams. The dormitory team from City Chain was finally formed, and everyone celebrated for being able to be together. Isolated in a corner with Ling Yu, the director showed his curiosity as she was so interested in Sichen. He was already anticipating the battles to come. On one side, we have Gong Ting leading the strongest team in the history of this school, and on the other side, Sichen and his 3 roommates, who are ranked as the weakest in the whole school. I can't help but wonder which dungeon they will choose and how many points both teams will get in the end. As soon as the principal finished speaking, a team member from the systems department announced that all teams had been formed. Now the captains could select the dungeon they would enter. On the tablet he was holding, a notification alerted that a team had just selected a dungeon, something done in less than a second. Everyone noticed on their devices that Sichen had chosen a dungeon. As soon as they saw which one he had selected, everyone was left speechless. Sichen's team desperately begged him to reconsider his decision. Are you crazy? Undo that. Do you even understand what you just picked? However, Sichen remained unfazed. The graduation battle exam marks the first time students form teams to enter a real dungeon. Students earn credits by defeating monsters and monster lords within the dungeon. Different dungeon levels represent varying degrees of difficulty, with corresponding score multipliers. Therefore, choosing a dungeon ranked F will result in a maximum score of 75 points, while choosing a dungeon ranked E will yield a maximum score of 100 points. All team members with the highest score would receive an offer from the Imperial Guild, while the one who becomes the MVP would be directly appointed to the manager position within the Imperial Guild and receive a prize of 1 million yuan. Some students were conducting an analysis. The highest score ever recorded in the graduation exam was 90 points. It was set by a genius alumnus who is now the leader of the Imperial Guild. A bit surprised, one of the team members conducting the analysis believed that a rank D dungeon would already be difficult. At least 3 rank D individuals were necessary in the team to have a chance. Gongting's team would likely be the only one to challenge the record score in all of history. When the analysis team received the notification that a dungeon had already been chosen by someone, they were taken aback. The leader of that team raised an eyebrow upon seeing that it was Sechen who he had chosen. Unexpectedly, the dungeon selected by him was a rank D. Such a young man hurriedly looked back. No one had ever defeated a rank D dungeon before. Is this guy crazy, or did he press the wrong button? Malong was losing it over the choice. City Changzhu had already dropped to the ground, believing that his friend was crazy with the confirmation option in front of him. He wondered if it was too late to abandon the team. Malong tried to warn Sechen, attempting to make him remember the difficulty of a rank D dungeon. Sechen didn't care about his concern, claiming he already knew. At that moment, a new application for a rank D dungeon appeared for everyone. Gong Ting had submitted the application, and all his team members had already confirmed. When a second team applied for a rank D dungeon, everyone in the auditorium was ecstatic. Gong Ting elegantly crossed his legs, while all the members of his team showed pride and arrogance. One of the participants looked at Sechen's group with disdain. Who do they think they are acting like that? They don't even know their own abilities. A bald man near her agreed. It's a rank D dungeon. There's no way his teammates would agree to participate. They should switch teams while they still have the chance to back out. The young woman scoffed mockingly. The team that has barely been formed is already going to fall apart? What a pity. How sad. Malong noticed Sechen's completely determined expression. He wondered when Sechen began to have such a powerful aura around him, when he used to rely completely on him all the time at school. A small look of sadness appeared on Malong's face, but he quickly recovered, pressing the confirmation button. I will go with you until the end, Xiang Yu also confirmed. We will be last anyway, whether it's a rank D dungeon or rank F. At least we can go to a rank D dungeon to see what it's like inside. The last team member, Rane, said irritably, You guys are crazy. I clearly am the best in the dormitory, so why was I left for last? He raised his fist, pressing the confirmation button. I will go with you. The signal that Scythian's team accepted the request for a rank D dungeon was displayed for everyone on the panel. Scythian was surprised to see that everyone would follow him. With melancholy, he apologized. "I'm sorry, I chose a rank D dungeon to obtain the MVP prize, but now I'm forcing you all to come with me. So let's all go together to get that prize." Upon hearing that Seichen wanted the MVP prize, Gongchen was surprised. He quickly stood up, heading towards Scythian with a dark aura, warning, "I will be the MVP!" The protagonist glanced out of the corner of his eye at the arrogant student daring to challenge him. "Scythian, there can only be one strongest student in the whole school." Lingyu was astonished, as it was the first time she had seen such an expression on Gongting. Apparently, the battle between the two was finally on. The principal watched as the youth was extremely determined, worried, and thoughtful. Lingyu commented, "But Seichen choosing a rank D dungeon? That's a bit overconfident on his part. Even if he is rank C, it would still be impossible for him to complete a rank D dungeon alone." The bonus multiplier for D-level dungeons is 3 times the earned value. Therefore, the maximum possible score is 150 points, but the difficulty is several times greater than that of a ranked dungeon. Given the current abilities of your team, this choice clearly wouldn't be the best option. The director agreed with her a little over a month ago, right before the exam battles began. It will be impossible for them to develop the necessary skills in such a short period of time. I hope that, when the day comes, C-Jane and her team can deliver a decent performance. In the following days, the students participated in various training sessions, in addition to going to simulated combat rooms. C-Chen's team, on the other hand, was doing physical training, running around the school. There were 17 days left until the dungeon trip, and they still hadn't gotten used to running, collapsing weakly on their legs. Malong complained, "Hey, Sei-Chen, everyone else is in the Elemental Powers training room using the Monster Combat Simulator. Why are you making us do all this? Burnouts, obstacle runs, sprints, and long-distance running." Malong was trying to remind him that they weren't participating in a triathlon. However, Seichen reminded them, "At this point, it doesn't matter how much you practice elemental skills in a simulation training. In the end, it's still just a simulation. When you finally enter an unknown dungeon, facing powerful monsters you have never encountered before, when the fear of the unknown instantly overwhelms you like a flood, it won't be the theories you've stuffed into your brain that will determine your fate, and it won't be some last-second improvised attack combo. It will be your instinct." Sitien's words served as inspiration. Explanation and motivation. Physical endurance, explosive power, and reaction speed are what we are training now. We are doing all of this to hone your physical instincts. The benefits you gain from using the school's simulation training are incredibly minimal. The only truly effective training you can do is to enter a real dungeon to gain battle experience. Sidian's serious expression revealed his indignation. Ordinary people like them did not have access to dungeons for training. Only those with status and privilege were capable. People who have never been ordinary continually increase the distance between themselves and normal folks to maintain a position of power forever. From birth, they already possessed what the rest of the world would give their whole lives to obtain, but could only hope to reach. Inspired by City Chain's words, Xiangzhu asked what people like them could do. City Chain's answer was straightforward. Join the Imperial Guild. We will be breaking through that social barrier right before their eyes. The graduation exam will be everyone's only chance to surpass them, and it will be my best chance to surpass them too, which is why I will do my best to fulfill this promise to all. Sitian swore to his friends, "We will definitely win." With 15 days left until the exam, Sitian returned to the Dungeon of Darkness, facing the Ghost Lions in the Fallen Star Desert. He continued to fight as time was running out. With only 10 days left, his teammates were already running more than at the start, just as City Chain was fighting even more fiercely. Gonshin did not fall behind, using his money to gain advantages and become stronger. With only 5 days left, Sidian trained with weights, pushing his teammates to exercise as well. On the 3rd day before the event, Gonshin became even stronger, achieving new accomplishments. The next day, Sechen was the one who reached level 16 of his class, completely clearing the lions on the last day before heading to the real dungeon. After going through sweat and tears, Sechen challenged fate. The real battle begins now. June 17th in the year 2557 was marked. This was the day of the graduation battle exam. A small and cute flying robot approached the students. "Hello, I am a drone that will accompany you during the exam." The City Chain team donned their battle gear, showcasing their toned muscles, and listened to the instructions given by the drone. Make sure your bracelets and equipment are secured. Attention everyone, the graduation exam has begun in the administration building of the National College of Awakening. The principal met with an important man, whom he referred to as President Gong Gong Lin, co-founder of the Imperial Guild and father of Gong Ting. He shook hands with the academy director and apologized for his tardiness. The elegant man caught the student's attention, who leaned out the window to get a glimpse of him. Someone stepped out of the limousine. After Gong Lin's arrival, the door opened for a young man with red hair. Carl Cavendish carried a serene expression and adjusted his luxury watch. He was the vice president of the Global Guild Federation. The arrival of Carl Cavendish nearly drove the students wild. One of them squeezed out the window, being a huge fan. These are legends you would be lucky to see once in a lifetime. It's no wonder they evacuated the entire building today. The Guild Federation is currently the most powerful organization in the world. If they noticed you, no way. Even speaking with the Guild Federation would change your life forever. When they arrived at the monitoring room, Gongshuan took the lead in presenting the facilities and participants. A total of 184 students is participating in this year's graduation battle exam. They were divided into 28 teams. There are 23 teams that selected the rank F dungeon, while 3 teams selected the rank E dungeon, and finally, 2 teams selected the rank D dungeon. Sigrid, the Secretary General of the Global Guild Federation, was surprised to find out that 2 teams had chosen rank D dungeons, as rank D dungeons are considered dangerous, even for professional guild members. Her school adequately educated its students about the dangers of dungeons. While she seriously reviewed the information, Kevin, who was sitting behind her, simply relaxed, grabbing some snacks and serving others as if he were at a movie theater. Gong Zhuo focused his attention on the secretary, explaining that, naturally, everything had been explained in advance. Due to the lack of real combat experience, the vast majority of students are at a mere rank E, which is still sufficient to deal with common monsters in a rank F dungeon. Inside a random rank F dungeon, a student used his fists to fight a lightning salamander. But when his team faced the Lord Monster, the difficulty of the challenge proved to be even greater than they could handle. The strength of a Lord far surpasses that of a common monster of the same level. The students would need to give their all if they wanted to defeat the Lord of a rank F dungeon, but a rank E dungeon is on a completely different level. The strength of each monster in a rank E dungeon is equivalent to that of the Lord of a rank F dungeon. In a rank E dungeon, the students shrank back when they saw giant spiders descending from their webs to attack them. The monsters had sharp saws on their legs, their eyes gleamed as if they could see in the dark, and the number of the swarm they moved in could be compared to an army. For most students, defeating a level I dungeon is simply an impossible mission. Sigrid questioned what protective measures were available for students in imminent danger. Gong Xuan reassured her, "Students are our most valuable resource. Outside each dungeon, an armed team from the Imperial Guild stands ready. If any imminent danger is identified, they will intervene immediately. Moreover, the bracelet of each examinee has a transmission function. In the Spider Dungeon, the team that was about to be exterminated gave up. They activated the device on their bracelet, abandoning the mission. As it was meant to be, they were instantly teleported out of the dungeon." Sigrid adjusted her glasses, anxious for the performance of the 2 teams. Despite knowing the risks, 2 teams still chose the level D dungeon, which was even more challenging. It seems that her school is not lacking in talented students. Gong Xuan was also eager to see how many minutes the city chain team would last. Internally, he scoffed, "Those kids are going to lose any moment now." Inside a rank D dungeon, at the peak of the cloud forest, gigantic frozen trees housed monkeys that lurked in the shadows. The spectral winged monkeys, cloud-type attackers, were monkeys equipped with enormous claws, as well as small wings on their forearms, and from their arms to their chests. Their dark eyes and maniacal smiles transformed them into extremely terrifying beasts. Sithin explained about the spectral winged monkeys to the team. They are specialists in area damage with insane aerial speeds, stay constantly alert against their diving attacks. As soon as Sithin finished speaking, the monkeys moved, and numbers of them leaped from the tall trees, diving towards the group. City shouted, alerting the team who tried their best to dodge, jumping in random directions. As they evaded, Shanzu exclaimed in astonishment, "Wow, we really dodged attacks from D-rank monsters." While they were still recovering, they heard sounds of impact. When they looked up, they saw the spectral winged monkeys dropping to the ground to the shock of the entire group. City Chain had instantly eliminated 3 of those monsters, using electric power to fight. City Maid paused briefly and warned the group, "Your current strength is not enough to handle them. Just protect yourselves here. Leave the rest to me. City Chain jumped towards the trees while the rest of his group focused on dodging. Shanzu leaped from side to side until he ended up throwing himself backwards against a tree. But being alive up to that point, he realized that this was why Sitchin had trained them: reaction speed and explosive speed. Shengizu felt that Sitchin never expected them to help him. It was, purely for the three of them to protect themselves. Changuzu cursed the situation he was in. He had always been the dorm head, and yet now he was relying on a guy even younger than him to carry him through the graduation exam. Scythen single-handedly destroyed the spectral winged monkeys in numbers, yet more kept appearing. They flew towards him only to be driven away by his lightning attacks. Shanzu hadn't believed Malong when he said Scythen was strong, but seeing it with his own eyes, he realized he was wrong. Si Chen was proving to be so strong that Si Kerr seemed to be just a student, attacking as if he were an experienced warrior. Si Chen was clearing the battlefield, jumping into the air, and taking down the monkeys as they were still diving. The frustration for someone who always thought of himself as the group's leader was immense. Si Chen had become much bigger than him, much more reliable. Leaving him behind, suddenly, a monkey with spectral wings emerged from the group's blind spot, being noticed only at the last second. As it attacked the group, the monkey was grabbed by the leg by Xiang Zuo. He used his fire mage skill, strengthening his grip. Immediately, he shouted to his two companions, "Malong, we can't just act like baggage and leave everything to itself. Chain!" He roared furiously. "This isn't just his graduation assessment, it's our assessment too." Shang Yu was, motivated by his brother's words. In his hand, the power of the flower enchanter emerged. Large vines grew from the ground, crossing the snow and heading towards the monkey. "Taste this." The vines bound the arms of the spectral winged monkey, but the monster, in a matter of seconds, tore them apart and flung Shanzu, who was grabbing its leg, away. Shang Yu was shocked to see the monster break free so quickly. At that moment, a cloud enchantment and the freezing breeze fell upon the winged monkey. Malong had used magic, trying to slow the monster down so that Shang Yu could attack. Shang Yu used his vines again. The combo of the freezing breeze and the vines completely sealed the spectral winged monkey, so Xiangzu could deliver the final blow. Gathering flames into a fireball in his hand, Xiangzu threw it at the monster like an explosive bullet of fire. The attack hit the winged monkey, but it passed through with hardly any damage, becoming even more enraged at the humans. Seeing that his attack was not significant at all, Shanzu repeated it countless times. More fireballs rained down upon the monster, this time causing wounds across its body. The monkey would not stay still. It used all its strength to try to break the vines that bound it and free itself. Shang Yu and Malong were straining to maintain their control spells, but they were reaching the limit of what they could do. At that moment, Shanzu gathered as much power as he could, raising both hands and creating a gigantic fireball. He leaped towards the monster, roaring, "Take this! This is my most powerful move, the Fire Bullet Convergence." The massive explosion of flames engulfed the spectral winged monkey, turning the area that had previously been completely white from snow into a scorching red. The small drone accompanying the group approached the three boys. "Congratulations, congratulations! You have successfully defeated a spectral winged monkey." The three fell into the snow, celebrating having managed to defeat a rank D monster. Sage-Chain watched the three in surprise, seeing the look of the team leader, Tianzu, being the first to stand up and shout, "Hey, City! Did you see that?" He had created a large crater where the monster lay curled up in the middle. Tianzu smiled confidently. That was as easy as pie. Having defeated all the other monsters, Sage-Chain congratulated the team for their help. Thus, the small drone announced, "Congratulations! All the monsters within this cave of evil have been eliminated." Outside, Gong Xuan was about to drop his jaw. How is this possible? These trash students with zero combat experience actually killed a rank D monster above their level. On the screen before him was the recording focusing on the monkey that the three young rank E had defeated. The academy director smiled slightly, recalling Ling Yu's expectations beside him. Gong Lin remained silent, clearly disturbed. Carl Cavendish, the leader of the Global Guilds Confederation, was the one enjoying the spectacle the most. His impression of Scythen was strong. This young man's performance is excellent. Watching closely, Carl Cavendish even felt that Scythen resembled an old acquaintance. It was obvious that Carl Cavendish remembered someone, especially after murmuring the name Si Chen. Such a name also alerted Gong Lin, who frowned. He stared at Gong Xuan, who quickly understood the signal and changed the subject, quickly showing the other team. "Look at the other rank D dungeon. The other team there is halfway through the dungeon. On the live screen, the whole group was shown fighting together. Sigrid adjusted her glasses, assessing the group. Their coordination is flawless. It's as if they are a professional guild network team. Cavendish found them quite interesting and added their graduating class for this year. It's quite impressive. Gong Xuan smiled in anticipation. Internally, he knew it was just the beginning. The real spectacle was only starting. In the dungeon, tendrils of dark vines and poisonous mushrooms ran amok, releasing toxic gases. A young woman used a guitar to unleash large sound waves that reduced the strength, stamina, and speed of the monsters. A star attribute wizard cast his magic. He joined his hands and the fusion skill attracted the monsters, clustering them in one place. He called his captain Gongting, who, drawing his sword with extreme speed, used the flame soldier's strike, incandescent break, to explode the BE monsters in midair. After the grand combo of skills, Gongting sheathed his sword. The whole team rested after eliminating the group of monsters. They were exactly like those they had faced while training, so it was natural that they fared well against them. One of the team members smiled with satisfaction. It seemed to be true that the graduation exam had been rigged by the Gong family. Life becomes much easier when you know the right people, with a good enough rhythm to cultivate confidence. They followed Gongting to fight against the boss. At the same time, Si Chen advanced through the snow. They arrived at the peak of the snow-covered trees. There, surrounded by icy mountains, was a frozen plain. Leaning against a tree trunk, the ice specter monkey was snacking. It was eating spectral wing monkeys, which were much smaller than it. Malong hid behind Shangzhu upon seeing the beast that was supposed to be the monster lord. They felt that with just a swipe, the monster could eliminate them. The red eyes of the gorilla stared at them, halting its chewing. Malong almost fainted from fear, jumping back. The gorilla quickly stood up, charging towards the group, who ran away, except for Seichen. The protagonist moved in a flash. His lightning kick struck the gorilla, which bounced on the hard snow several times. While the monster was still in the air, City moved, following the path it was taking away. The ice specter gorilla couldn't even defend itself when the attacks rained down on it. Lightning cuts turned it into minced meat, and its pieces fell like scraps of flesh. Malong was astonished, incredulous as he watched Si Chen defeat the monster so quickly and so easily. With the monster's defeat, Si Chen managed to collect its fur, along with a small amount of experience. This was quite strange. A rank D dungeon lord should have given him much greater rewards. At that moment, Seichen heard his group gasping in amazement at the sight of crystals on the tree the gorilla had previously leaned against. The dry trunk concealed rare crystals. Just judging by the size of the crystals, they should at least be mid-tier mana crystals. Driven by greed, Shanzu reached out to grab them. If we can sell these, we'll be rich for life. Seichen realized that something was wrong, but before he could stop his companions. Xianzu touched the crystal and a blinding light was released. The magical power fell upon the trio closest to the crystal and extended to even reach the city. A cloud-type magic had been used, the Arctic supernova. Ice spikes formed throughout the domain of the magic, freezing everything and everyone around it. Even the small filming drone was frozen and fell to the ground like a ball of ice. The signal was immediately lost. No one could know what was happening in the dungeon. Gong Xuan played with his mustache, smiling mischievously. Internally, he was already mocking. They walked right into the trap. High-level monsters are actually quite intelligent. Once a loser, always a loser. You are nothing but a burden to society, and now this marks the end of your graduation exam. Faced with the situation, Carl Cavendish recalled such circumstances. The lives of the students were clearly in danger. Gong Xuan agreed with him. Yes, exactly. Saving the students is our top priority. It seems that the guild's rescue team will need to intervene, even if it means ending their exam. The university's director interrupted them. Let's give them a little more time. He could see the data on the screen. The bracelets continuously monitored the students' conditions, and all their vital signs were currently stable. Furthermore, there was no indication in their neural data of a desire to give up on the exam, so the choice to withdraw should be left in the hands of the candidates themselves. Beside the director, Gong Tin's father remained silent. Malong sneezed fiercely. He shrank back, surrounded by the ice that had solidified his entire team. As someone from a cloud class, he possessed some resistance to the cold, which prevented him from freezing. Malong looked up when he heard a laugh. A skeletal being with long arms and a crown on its head looked down at him like a king of the underworld risen over the living. This was the true lord of the dungeon. Malong remembered having seen such a monster in the manual. It was an elemental mage of the clouds, specialized in ice manipulation. It used area of effect and repulsion abilities. Insidious and cunning, they took a sick pleasure in toying with their prey before ending them. The monster was what they called the Frozen Light King. The Arctic supernova launched a second ago was clearly a trap set by the frozen light against a rank Sea Lord monster. Malong knew he couldn't fight alone. He quickly ran trying to reach Sithin. However, halfway there, an ice spike hit his leg. Malong fell to the ground in agony as the Frozen Light King watched him, laughing mockingly. The bracelet on Malong's arm detected critical damage and asked if he wanted to forfeit the exam. The young man gritted his teeth and got up with grit and bravery. "No way, I'm not going anywhere!" Malong intended to save Sithin so they could turn the tide. He reached out toward the ice cube, enclosing Sithin, using the Perfect Origin ability. With a purifying energy, the ability could remove all negative effects. Malong would be able to unfreeze his friend. It was their only chance to win. However, before Malong could touch the ice stone, a spike hit his arm. Malong fell to the ground, and the purification he tried to use failed. In the sky above the frozen field, the Frozen Light King was enjoying the fun he had with the little human insects, but it was time to put an end to the play. He opened his arms, and dozens of ice spikes emerged. Malong, with his back to him, repeatedly heard the warning given by the bracelet. "Do you want to abandon the test? Do you want to abandon the test? Do you want to abandon the test?" That word already infuriated the young man. He remembered the recent past. He had always run away from every challenge and struggle he had the chance to face. That was why he was constantly being left behind, ignored, ridiculed, humiliated, treated as if he were someone of no importance. He and his group had put everything on the line just to get there, against all odds. He finally had the opportunity to change his life. Determination shone in Malong's eyes, along with what little mana he had left. "No way! I'm not giving up!" With the Perfect Origin being used once more, Malong managed to touch the ice stone. The ability was activated, but it would take the full channeling time before it successfully thawed. While the magic was still being used, ice spikes were launched to hinder him. Malong shouted bravely, ignoring the impending attack from behind, hoping that he would succeed. With hope and Malong's strength, the ice stone began to crack. Chi-Cheng's sharp gaze could already be seen through the fractures. The Supreme Speed ability was activated. Chi-Cheng grabbed Malong by the waist and ran away, dodging all the ice spikes. King Light was surprised to see his attack fail. Malong was laid back against the snow to rest. With a weak voice, Malong addressed Sithin. "In the end, you still managed to free yourself. Credit had to be given where it was due, and Jane knew how to do it. You were a great help." Concerned for his friend, he asked if Malong would be all right. The young man reassured him, saying he would be. While pressing on his wounds, knowing King Light well, he warned Sithin of the danger. The frozen King Light was incredibly powerful. If he froze them again, there would be no chance of winning. While they talked, City Chain heard the sound of a snow tremor rising like an avalanche. The sunlight seemed to have been covered. They quickly turned and saw an even greater freezing magic emerging in the sky, like a frozen sun. King Lish cackled, confident in his victory, while Malong tried to bury himself in the snow out of fear. How did he invoke a freezing supernova of this size? There's no way we can dodge this. The gigantic iceberg of ice crashed down upon the land, exploding freezing energy in all directions. The world seemed to turn completely white, with a blinding glow carried by the snow. King Light had won. He laughed like never before, celebrating. However, this was just what he thought. Soon, he realized, looking down, how wrong he was. In the center of the place where his attack struck, there stood a human, releasing energy similar to that of his own attack. Sithin had changed to the Dog of the Grave King class. Part of Sithin's face had become skeletal, and thanks to the freezing physique of the Cloud Attribute Soldier class, he had immunity to low temperatures and increased resistance to freezing. King Light screamed in desperation, his bony jaw nearly dropping in shock. Not just his jaw nearly dropping, but also Malong's, who stammered, "That Jane, that power, what happened to you? Didn't you have an electric element class? Don't tell me you are 1 in a million. You are a 2-class awakened." If Jane reached out while apologizing to Malong for misunderstanding the situation, "It was entirely my fault for putting you 3 in danger, but it ends here." A purple energy mixed with the blue energy of the Cloud Attribute. A new class change was happening. As C-Chain closed his hand, the energy was fully unleashed. The Absol Spirit class became active. The protagonist equipped the gigantic sword and headed towards King Lish. "I will put an end to this once and for all."